This is your boy Leon D. We're going to talk about a lot of things on this podcast, primarily food. I like to talk about food a lot, but we're going to talk about food around the world. We're going to talk about some other things that's going to touch your heart or make you mad. It really don't matter, but I'm going to tell you about it though. DJ Leon D. Peace. Let's get it on. This is DJ Leon D. I'm back here to talk about some stuff that I have seen, I've heard, and I really can't really get into why people do it. Let's talk about it. It's the fat on food. This summer seen a lot of food with a lot of fat. I don't know why, but I got some theories. But let me tell you what is not good, what is good. Let me tell you why. Now, America's a big country. You got the West, the Midwest, the South, the Northeast, and you got a lot of different things. And one thing about this podcast, we all eat differently. Yeah, we eat differently. And nobody can say somebody is more healthier than another part of the country other than me. And I can say that because I've lived, and to this day, I continuously traveled this country. I just got back from California. I went to 4 different cities. My job allows me to go almost anywhere in America I want to go when I want to go. And and so when I travel, I visit restaurants and people I know and all kind of other things. But I'm very critical when your health is affected by your ignorance. I'm not calling you dumb or stupid. I am. I am. But when your health is affected by your ignorance of food, I get upset. Because doctors out here tell you all these things, and you hear it, you know it, your friends tell you, social media tell you, and what do? You ignore the hell out of them. Yeah. You just say, you know what? Thank you for your advice. I'm going to be unhealthy. This episode is about fat. About you being fat, because I'm gonna tell you why you're fat. A lot of you just don't know, but I'm gonna tell you why you're fat. And like I said, a lot of you just don't know, but everybody around you know why you're fat. Let me tell you. Hold on a second. Let me tell you why you're fat. Most people are fat because of one of 2 reasons. The first reason they're fat because they're lazy as hell. It is what it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. A lot of people are fat because they don't want to do anything that burns energy. I got a cousin. She might be a couple pounds south of 500 pounds. Not even a couple pounds. I'm thinking she a couple ounces short. But let me tell you what's going on when I see her, I see her friends, because she's 500 pounds. She'll see a girl that's 6 feet tall, 175, and she'll say, she's skinny as hell. No, she's not skinny. She's tall and athletic. You're short, fat, and lazy. And you weigh 3 times what she weighs. But lazy one is the biggest one. But at the same time, you don't pick your parents; they pick you. So let's not get it twisted. You don't pick your parents; they pick you. So they chose to have you, but you didn't necessarily have a choice in having them. So that's what this episode is not about. This episode is about fat in your food. And I'm going to tell you what's going on fat in your food. As I travel this country and travel the world, because I'm going to be honest about it, the Brits in the UK, United Kingdom, they are fat as hell. When I lived there, they were not that fat. They are big as baby whales now. because they have taken the American diet and made it their own. Oh yeah, yeah, they made it their own. But let me tell you something though. That's really really kind of cool. And this one you need to know. I ordered. Well, let me go back. This episode about fat is not good for you, and I get this argument a lot, especially in the South and in the Southwest of America. They said that fat is the best flavor of the food. How ignorant can you be? They are ignorant when they tell me that. They are ignorant when they look at me, and they are fat when I look at them, because they don't understand that what is the benefit of eating fat. There is not one single benefit that any doctor can tell you that comes from eating fat. Now, the negative side of eating fat is that you're going to have a lot of medical problems, but the core and key thing about eating fat that you need to know, you're going to be fat. You can't tell me that you don't want to be fat if you're eating fat. If you're sitting there eating a bowl of fat, you're going to be fat. You should be fat. That's how it works. People, that's how it works. Fat begets fat. If you want to be fat, eat fat. And what's worse, if you eat fat and you're lazy, you're guaranteed to be fatter. I seen fat people look at this show called My 600-Pound Friend, Neighbor, Daughter, Sister, whatever, but they always 600 pounds or more. And you don't just get fat overnight. No, I think getting fat takes an effort, but it seems like a lot of my relatives and people I know, they take getting fat as an Olympic sport. Oh yeah. We got the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, and the fat, freaky people who think they are not fat. They're going to run 5 yards. And we're going to see who can win the 5-yard medley relay from the fat people of America versus the fat people of England versus the fat Irishmen who eat nothing but potatoes. And then don't forget, we got the fat Japanese. Oh, they love that ramen with all this salt in it. The ramen noodles with salt. Oh, yeah. Look at those bellies. Some people call them sumo wrestlers. Some people call them sumo wrestlers. You know what we call them? Fat lovers. Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works, people. You don't get fat by just living. No, you got to do a lot of things to get fat. And some people do them all in parallel. And people, if you don't know, parallel means at the exact same time. They're eating fat. When I see people who favorite dishes 2 pounds of pork belly, yeah, they got a problem. I'm not saying that everybody got to be an Olympic athlete. I'm not asking that. But also, though, you ain't got to be a fat person either. You got choices. We all got choices. How we want to exercise those choices is up to us. But we got choices, though. So don't act like you got fat with no help. Oh, yeah, you had help. Your mouth. Your mouth helped you get to where you are. So fat is not flavoring. I went to a friend's house and he had these thick pork chops. And he was bragging about them. And I looked at them. They were a nice center cut pork chop. But on the outside, they had about 1.5 inches of just a fat ring around them, which is expected if you know what a pork chop looks like. So I'm like, okay, the butcher cut pork chops. You know, he gave pretty thick pork chops. And I said, hey, I would trim that fat on the outer ring. I would cut it in half. So your kids and everybody else don't eat all that fat. He goes, well, it'll render itself when I put it in the smoker. I said, it will. And it can start a fire by dripping into your smoker, charcoals, and everything else. So it can cause a flare up. And he was like, yeah, but you know what though? My kids love they love the fat. And I looked at his kids, and he had 4 kids. You know, he could have had an older one in college I'm not aware of. So I looked at his kids. Shit. I looked at 4 bowling balls. I'm like, these kids are big as hell. And not one of them was over the age of 13. He had like a 13, an 11-year-old, and like a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old. But I always knew that he was kind of messed up a little bit. But you know, I wanted. He's not really a friend. He's a colleague I work with. You know, I do the things with him. But I didn't want to say anything to him mean, because the kids were great. It wasn't their fault. And I'm looking at his oldest daughter and his 11-year-old daughter, and you know, I'm just looking at him and stuff. And I swear to God, he said, yeah, they want to be swimmers. And I don't know what got into me, but it just came out. I said, so your daughter's going to be swimmers. Well, we don't have a whale team. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm just saying that, you know, Olympic team hard to make. But I did say we don't have a whale team. Because I looked at his daughters. I swear to God, if I was on the beach and I saw those 2 on their backs, I would have harpooned the shit out of them. I would have thought they were a walrus. They were 5'5" both ways. I'm talking about 5'5" tall, and they were 5'5" wide. And he had never told them, this career field you're going to choose is not for you. It reminded me of my niece. Now my niece, she's my oldest niece, and she is, you know, a sweetheart. And love her to death. But my sister, her mother, is about 5'7". My brother-in-law, her father, is about 5 feet. Matter of fact, he might be 4'11". She was 5 feet, about 5 feet, maybe a quarter inch. And she was 15 years old. She told me and my wife one day, I said, hey, what do you plan on doing after high school? And she said, I'm going to be a model, because I know I'm going to grow at least another 7 or 8 inches. And I said, oh, that's great. I called my brother-in-law and I said, I should beat the shit out of you. You have not told that girl that's tall as she going to get. If she would have told me I want to be a gymnast uncle, I would have spent $10,000 the same day to make sure that she was a gymnast. She said a model. And I was like, model? I should beat the shit out of your parents. They should tell you a long time ago, you're never going to be a model. Everybody in the world could have told her that. And I said, okay, what are you going to model? Midget clothes? You're going to put on midget clothes? She said, no. She said, why do you think I'm going to model midget clothes? I said, because damn, you are a midget. So you're going to model clothes for yourself. No. In her mind, she thought that she was really going to be like Naomi Campbell. She thought that. Has her uncle, who loves her to death, I knew that was a dream she should have never had. That's like asking your 14 or 15-year-old girl or son, you know, I went to this high school one time, and I said, hey, you know, I'm an engineer. What are you guys going to do when you grow up? One girl said, doctor, lawyer. And then another girl said, well, I'll be a nurse. And one girl said, I'm going to be a teacher. They get around to about the 5th person. And this little girl stood up. You know, remind you, we in 9th to 10th grade. I was talking to him. And she said, I want to be a clown. I said, oh, okay. I knew her parents like, you said that shit in public? I knew that her parents had to go home and beat the living crap out of her. But it was just all a trip when she said it, because it's not like she was 4 or 5 years old and she came from the Disney Carnival. I said, well, they got a place called Clown University in Sarasota, Florida. She goes, oh, yeah. She was, I've been there twice. I'm excited. And I'm thinking, I don't believe in abortion, but I'm sure your parents definitely considered it after hearing that. And I was like, Jesus Christ. She said that in front of everybody. But at the same time, I told myself, I know for a fact that the guidance counselor, he probably said, I ain't got to deal with her no more because I need to work on the students who are trying to make a career for themselves. So I was sitting there just laughing my ass off. But let's go back to about fat. If you eat fat, you're gonna be fat. If you eat fat and you're not fat, thank somebody. But if you eat fat, don't be disappointed. Don't be disappointed if you're fat. So here's the deal. If you bite any meat with a lot of fat, whether it's a pork chop, whether it's, brisket, because I trim off a lot of fat when I cook brisket. Because if you eat it, it's like eating rubber. And who wants to have a mouthful of fat? A mouthful of fat is nasty as can be. Because I've had that before in my life. I'm like, and then they're cutting the fat like it's some kind of delicacy. I'm going to tell you a fat that a lot of Americans eat that is really some of the worst things in the world to eat. Health-wise, there's no benefit to it. It's called pork belly. A lot of Americans love pork belly, especially in the South. They buy it by the pound. They have slabs of it. Now, the only thing to me that's good about pork belly is that it's attached to the bacon, because the end of the rib and the beginning of the stomach is pork belly. So I'm always stunned when people will say, well, I like pork belly. I was in Atlanta. They make sausage. They make sandwiches with pure pork belly. Pork belly by itself is just shit. It's just straight up gangster fat. I'm talking about, it's the worst fat you can see in your life. And you know why they sell it? In Costco and Lidl's and all these stores like Winn-Dixie, Albertsons, and Publix and Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly is a big seller of it. Because Asians love it. Koreans love it. Chinese love it. Vietnamese, well, they eat dogs too there. So I'm not sure how much they love it. But Asia, people in Asia love pork belly. But at the same time, they eat the hell out of it. But they tend to them it's a delicacy. It's like cross ribs. I don't like cross. In other words, cross ribs are when you cut them cross-side, not along the bones. You cut them against the bone. Some people in Asia like that. I look at it as, damn, they're rib tips. And I can't stand rib tips. So my whole thing to everybody is that you got people who love fat. And most of them are fat. But they don't have to be. They have chosen to take a path that is not the right path. No, they just, they just love it. And some of them, and pork belly isn't necessarily a cheap food made for the poor. Now, it was back in the day when we had slaves and everybody else, but hell, I thought that in this date and century, a few of us have progressed to beyond pork belly and Spam. Because a lot of people like Spam too. And I'm always just shocked at how many people like Spam. But it is what it is. But DJ Leon here to tell you, that is so unhealthy, it's ridiculous. And people wonder why American doctors make a lot of money. Because they see people every day and all day, stupid as hell, making them rich. You can't buy your way out of stupid. If you're stupid, you can't buy your way out. No, you can't. But the whole thing is that people don't know how bad some of the stuff we eat are. But I get that, not a problem. But all of us who can see, all see pork fat, beef fat, chicken got very little fat on them, duck got none. But we all can see fat when we see it. It's all, no matter what animal you deal with, the fat is the exact same color. White. It's the exact same color. So you see anything, there's no animal that you cook and the internal part of the animal is white. No. People say, oh, you got white meat and red meat and all that. But it's not white like a paper. But pork fat is. Beef fat is. Yeah, fat is fat. There's nothing you can do about it. You can embrace it. You can talk crap about it and say, well, fat isn't bad. And the people who say that, they're all fat. That's the common denominator among all of them. Oh, yeah, they got a problem. They hate you for saying it, but they're all fat. And then I got a friend. He's not fat at all. No. He married somebody who loved pork fat. He married somebody who loved fat, and he goes, this is flavoring. I said, no. Fat, to me, is just rubber in my mouth. I mean, it is what it is. I can't get into it. Some people can. And I'm not going to tell you wrong. What I'm going to tell you, you ain't going to live long. So you ain't wrong. You just won't live long. Because I got relatives, people I know. It is what it is. No need to get upset about the truth. It is what it is. So this is your boy DJ Leon D. Another episode. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about how to cook a brisket the right way. You know what? I might come back and tell you about my last trip when I was on the West Coast and about the cities I went to and the food they offer. It ain't pretty. As much as I talk about the South, I'm not gonna lie. Food do taste just a little bit better. Matter of fact, not really a little bit. You got places where you gotta be cute to eat. You got places where you're fat, you're happy. You got places where you want to have a combination of both of them, and you want Thousand Island dressing and French dressing. You want a lot of vegetables, and some places they just don't have vegetables. But this is Leon D, your DJ. I'm out of here. Peace.